Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story takes us deep into one of the most treacherous corners of the ocean, the Gulf of Aden, where chaos and courage collided in a fiery confrontation between the U.S. Navy and heavily armed Somali pirates. What began as a routine patrol quickly transformed into a dramatic display of American naval power, reminding the world that piracy, even in the 21st century, is still a dangerous and unpredictable threat. The operation that unfolded was nothing short of stunning as the U.S. Navy unleashed a wave of precision strikes that left pirate boats torn apart and burning across the dark waters of the Indian Ocean. The situation started when multiple distress calls were received from commercial shipping vessels traveling through the narrow corridor near the Horn of Africa. Reports indicated that several pirate groups operating from the Somali coastline had launched attacks on oil tankers and cargo ships, using high-speed skiffs and heavy machine guns mounted on makeshift platforms. The pirates had grown increasingly bold over recent months, exploiting the region's instability and the reduced international patrol presence. But this time, the U.S. Navy was not in the mood for negotiation. The USS Roosevelt and her accompanying strike group were ordered to intercept and neutralize any threat in the area, and what followed was a textbook execution of naval dominance. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the Navy's radar systems picked up suspicious movements near the shipping lanes. Vast, moving targets with irregular patterns began closing in on a U.S. flagged container vessel. Within minutes, a helicopter launched from the deck of the USS Roosevelt spotted 3 pirate boats racing through the waves, their engines roaring as they fired warning bursts toward the merchant ship. The order came through the radio, weapons free. That's when the calm surface of the ocean erupted into chaos. The first missile streaked across the night sky, striking the lead pirate vessel dead center. The explosion lit up the horizon, scattering debris and sending shockwaves that could be felt miles away. The pirates never stood a chance. The Navy's fire control systems locked onto the remaining skiffs as they tried to retreat toward the Somali coastline. A barrage of 30 mm cannon fire followed, ripping through the wooden hulls with devastating accuracy. The scene that followed was a testament to the sheer precision and power of modern naval warfare. Within moments, what had been an aggressive assault by heavily armed pirates turned into a desperate attempt to survive. The U.S. Navy didn't just repel the attack, they obliterated it. Inside the USS Roosevelt, the crew maintained perfect coordination. Communication between the bridge, the operations center, and the aircraft crews was flawless. Every move was calculated, every decision swift. The sound of gunfire echoed across the ocean as helicopters hovered overhead, scanning for survivors or any additional hostile movement. The smell of burning fuel mixed with the salty air, and the water was littered with fragments of the destroyed pirate vessels. For many sailors on board, it was a stark reminder of why they train relentlessly for moments like this, not for glory, but for protection and deterrence. The pirates had been operating under a dangerous illusion that the U.S. Navy had scaled back its presence in the region. They were wrong. Intelligence reports later revealed that this particular pirate group had ties to larger criminal networks involved in arms trafficking and human smuggling. Their boats were equipped with GPS systems, satellite phones, and enough ammunition to threaten entire convoys of commercial ships. But technology alone couldn't match the overwhelming force that the Navy brought to bear. Once the attack began, the outcome was never in doubt. The message was clear. Any threat to maritime security in international waters would be met with absolute and immediate retaliation. The U.S. Navy has long maintained a strong presence in the region, not just to defend American interests, but to ensure freedom of navigation for all nations. The Gulf of Aden is one of the busiest shipping routes in the world, connecting the Red Sea to the Arabian Sea, and disruptions here can affect global trade. That's why operations like this one carry enormous strategic weight. By crushing the pirates swiftly and decisively, the Navy reaffirmed its role as the guardian of international maritime order. For shipping companies, the news came as a relief. For the pirates, it was a brutal wake-up call. Inside the ship, the crew took a moment to absorb what they had just witnessed. The adrenaline was still pumping, but the professionalism never wavered. The command team began coordinating with regional allies to ensure no other pirate groups attempted to exploit the chaos. Meanwhile, Navy drones scanned the area, transmitting live footage of the smoldering remains of the pirate vessels. It was an eerie sight: twisted metal and splintered wood floating on the waves, illuminated by the flickering flames that still burned across the water. The sea had turned from calm to catastrophic in a matter of minutes. The operation also showcased the Navy's ability to conduct coordinated strikes across air and sea platforms. The MH-60 Seahawk helicopters provided aerial overwatch, while the ship's onboard missile systems handled long-range engagement. On the deck, sailors worked efficiently under red light, maintaining readiness for any secondary threats. The entire engagement lasted less than 20 minutes, but the precision with which it was executed reflected years of experience and discipline. Each sailor knew their role and performed it flawlessly, from the radar operators monitoring the electronic signatures to the gunners who engaged the pirate boats head-on. In the aftermath, U.S. Navy officials praised the crew for their quick response and professionalism. They emphasized that such operations are not about aggression, but deterrence. Piracy is not just an isolated act of theft, it's a form of organized crime that disrupts trade, endangers lives, and funds terrorist networks. By taking swift action, the Navy sends a powerful signal that the world's sea lanes will not become lawless zones. This mission, though intense, was a reminder that vigilance at sea never ends. Every calm wave can hide a threat, and every horizon could mark the beginning of a new confrontation. The pirates' tactics have evolved over time, using mother ships to extend their operational range, disguising vessels as fishing boats and employing GPS to coordinate ambushes. But the Navy's surveillance capabilities far surpass anything the pirates can deploy. Advanced satellite imaging, drone reconnaissance, and real-time communication links allow U.S. forces to monitor the vast expanse of ocean like a living map. The pirates may think they can hide behind the horizon, but the Navy can find them long before they ever strike. That technological advantage, combined with experience and training, makes such missions one-sided battles from the moment they begin. For those on the front lines, however, it's never routine. The ocean is unpredictable, and danger can arise without warning. The sailors on board know that their vigilance can mean the difference between safety and tragedy for thousands of innocent crew members sailing those same waters. They also know that one mistake could allow a pirate group to capture a vessel, taking hostages and demanding ransom, a scenario that has played out far too often in this region's turbulent history. But this time there were no hostages, no negotiations, and no mercy. The U.S. Navy made sure the pirates' operations ended before they even began. After the smoke cleared, the Navy conducted search and rescue operations for any survivors among the pirates, as required by international law. A few were pulled from the wreckage, injured and dazed, their weapons floating beside them. They were taken into custody for questioning, providing valuable intelligence about the network's funding and arming pirate operations. This intelligence would later help in tracking down the suppliers and backers behind these attacks, many of whom operate out of hidden coastal hubs across the Horn of Africa. The cycle of piracy is not easy to break, but every destroyed boat, every captured operative, and every foiled attack brings the region one step closer to lasting security. Reports from nearby commercial vessels describe the engagement as both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Captains who witnessed the explosions said the precision of the U.S. Navy's response was something they would never forget. The sea glowed orange for miles, and the shockwaves rolled across the waves like thunder. For many of these mariners who have spent years navigating pirate-infested waters, seeing such overwhelming firepower used in defense of freedom was a moment of reassurance. It proved that no matter how far from home they are, there's always someone watching over them from the horizon. The Navy's message was simple but powerful. The age of piracy may not be over, but its perpetrators will never again operate without consequences. The pirates believed they could exploit gaps in patrol schedules or take advantage of the Navy's focus on other global hotspots. Instead, they were met with the full force of American resolve. The operation became a case study in modern maritime warfare, a blend of technology, strategy, and sheer precision designed to deliver overwhelming dominance at sea. The world may not always see these engagements, but each one plays a vital role in maintaining the invisible balance of global trade and security. As the USS Roosevelt sailed away from the scene, the ocean slowly returned to its natural rhythm. The smoke drifted into the night sky, and the stars reflected off the waves once again. The sailors resumed their routines, checking equipment, logging reports, and preparing for whatever mission would come next. They understood that peace at sea is fragile, held together by constant vigilance and readiness. For the crew, this was another day in service, but for the pirates, it was the end of their reign of terror. The world rarely gets to see moments like this in real time, but the echoes of such operations ripple far beyond the battlefield. They reinforce alliances, deter future threats, and remind hostile forces that the oceans remain under watchful eyes. The U.S. Navy's action against Somali pirates was not just about destroying boats. It was about preserving global stability and ensuring that the high seas remain a safe passage for all who depend on them. And as long as there are those who seek to disrupt that order, the Navy will be there, ready to respond with unmatched precision and power. In the end, this operation was more than just a military success, it was a statement of intent. A warning to all who would threaten international waters that the rules of the ocean are not written by pirates, but enforced by those willing to protect them. The flames that lit the sea that night were not just the destruction of criminal vessels, they were a symbol of justice, order, and strength. The U.S. Navy once again proved that while piracy may rise from time to time, it will always be met with a swift and decisive end.